to another Twin Tuesday. Let's get straight into it. I'm Anissa and today we're going to be talking about the Casas twins. Now, first I would like to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed so far. We are at 50, which is a big deal because I think when we started the road to 100 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, we were just somewhere in their 20s. So it's nice to see that we're in our 50s. Guys, we are on our road to 100 subscribers. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel, okay? And thank you so much for all the support that you have shown so far. I'm going to try to do this Twin Tuesday in 10 minutes. I know I tried to do that last time and I completely failed. But this week, guys, I've got the faith. I'm believing we can do Twin Tuesday in 10 minutes. So let's get straight into it. So today we are talking about the story of the Casas twins, right? Hopefully I'm saying their names right because it's spelled like casa, like house in Spanish with an S on the end. So Casas. And if we were keeping the Spanish flow, the Casas Gemelas, that's Spanish for twin sisters, the Casas Gemelas, I don't know, no sé, I don't know. You know, my Spanish isn't that good, as you can tell from that horrific Spanglish. But yeah, we're talking about the story of the Casas twins. So the Casas twins are Edith and Johana Casas. Now, we actually don't know much about them before we get into our entry point of their life, which is them at 19 years old. What we do know is that they're from Argentina. They've got a mum, they've got a dad. We don't know if they have any siblings and that they are identical twin sisters. That's the only thing we know about them. Our entry point into them is at 19 years old, Johana Casas is found murdered, brutally murdered. So hours before, she was last seen at a party with her boyfriend at the time, Marco Diaz, and that was the last time she was seen. This was back in July 2010, just days before their 20th birthday. She was last seen at a party with her boyfriend Marco, and then hours later she was found in a field in southern Argentina with 2 gunshot wounds to the head. And she had just been murdered. The police arrested 2 suspects that they believed had committed the murder. One of them was her boyfriend at the time, as we've mentioned, Marco Diaz, who was also her live-in boyfriend. She lived with him. But the other suspect, which was, you know, it put a question mark in my head when I first read it, was Victor Singalani, who was actually a former boyfriend. I don't even want to use boyfriend because I feel like the way they've explained it, it's more like fling or past guy that she'd been seeing. They arrested him on suspicion of her murder alongside her current boyfriend, Marco. Now, this is where the story kind of twists a bit because although Victor was her former fling, her former boyfriend, they had dated years before her murder, and apparently Victor's described it as very casual. He had since moved on and had fallen in love, in which he was publicly declaring this, to her twin sister, Edith. We don't have any background on whether there was any animosity around Edith dating Johana's former fling or anything like that, or if the twins were rivals. We have no word or any detail around that, so we can only assume that things were okay. So Victor is arrested and so is Marco on the suspicion of murdering Johana. Both were detained and both were eventually convicted for the murder of Johana Casas. Now, Victor was convicted first in 2012 and he was sentenced to 13 years in prison. Marco was sentenced the year after in 2013 and I believe he got 13 or 14 years in prison. It was around the same mark. What was interesting was that they actually had separate trials, and the reason why I say that's interesting, I'm not a lawyer or a legal eagle, you know, but I've watched a fair amount of Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder like the rest of us. And for me, if you have 2 people being charged for the same crime and going on trial for the same crime, wouldn't they be co-defendants instead of having separate trials? That was just what my thought was. So it was strange to me that they had separate trials. Now we pick up with Edith. Her sister has just been murdered. 2 people are being convicted of the crime of murdering her sister, and one of them is her current boyfriend, Victor. Edith, from the beginning, seemingly believed that Victor did not kill her sister, even went to the prison to visit Victor. And what she said after her prison visit, I'm going to get the receipts up because you guys know I like the actual factuals, so I'm always going to come through with the real quote. So Edith said Victor is not a violent person and I'm not mad. Edith went on to say she had no doubt in her mind that Victor was innocent and that he did not kill her sister Johana. And so much so that Victor actually proposed to Johana on one of the prison visits, and Johana accepted that proposal and they became engaged. Of course, this was the shock of her family, her peers, and the community and everyone across the world that she had agreed to get married to the man who had been convicted of her twin sister's murder. That was like a big sentence to say. Like, it's just a lot, basically. So obviously everybody was horrified by this decision because he had just been sentenced and convicted, and now we're in late autumn of 2012 where he has now decided to propose. She's obviously told her parents, in which they absolutely hit the roof because they believe that Victor killed Johana. So they are very upset. Do you know what I mean? So what they actually did was her mother, Marcelina, decided to step in and actually get the courts involved and call some, I don't know if it's psychological, psychiatric, there was some sort of mental health test that took place for Edith. Her mother believed that she did not have the fullness of her mental capabilities and that in fact she felt threatened by Victor, and so that's why she agreed to the proposal, because she didn't want her life taken away as well. So under rule by the judge, Edith actually had to undertake several tests in which they found that she was mentally sound. The judge basically deemed her sane and said, you know what, that's her decision. If she wants to marry Victor, that is what she wants to do. And that's exactly what she did. So in February 2013, on Valentine's Day, Victor and Edith Casas got married. So they basically had this at a civil registry office that was not too far from the prison. Victor actually wore a beret and sunglasses, so he was in disguise obviously because he had to come out of his cell and etc, etc. And there was a lot of media attention. This was all over the world because this story, it was just shocking, right? And so Edith came through the front door, they got married, and then Victor had to go back to his prison cell, so he left out of the back door, but Edith left through the front door, and she was met with angry protesters, mobs, people were screaming, the media was there, they threw eggs at her. People were not happy with her decision to marry Victor. In fact, her parents actually went on to disown her. You know, her mother said that this was a terrible betrayal. Her dad was quoted saying basically that, you know, it's not just one daughter, he's lost two daughters, both of his daughters is dead, and that Johana is with God and Edith is with the devil. That is basically what he said. And they were absolutely hurt and heartbroken that their remaining daughter would do this. I have an opinion, but let's get to the end of the story and then I'll kind of chime in with what I'm thinking, basically. Then, in a twist of events, this was in February 2013, they get married. In late 2013, Victor is actually released from prison, even though he had a 13-year sentence, because he won his appeal. Now, Victor has always maintained his innocence. Edith has always maintained his innocence. His lawyer has always maintained his innocence and said that basically the conviction of Victor in this crime was just a judicial scandal and that they actually had no real evidence to support the claims that Victor was involved and that Marco Diaz was the sole perpetrator. Now, the only evidence we know in this crime, or that's detailed in the media about this crime, that is actually allows you to have a suspect in the crime, is that by Johana's dead body, there were cigarette butts, so somebody had been smoking, and the DNA on the cigarette butts matches Marco Diaz. So that was like the only, I think, strongest evidence they had to convict anyone, but that did not specifically link into Victor. So, you know, his conviction was turned over, he won the appeal, and he was a free man. Now, we fast forward into modern day 2021. The last update I saw about them was in 2019, and that they were happy, still married, still together, still living their lives. I actually went on my internet stalk, and guys, finally, my first internet stalk, and I finally found the people involved, or at least the people that are in live, because I feel like every Twin Tuesday I'm like, search on the internet, couldn't find anything in real time. I found them, and I found their Facebook profiles. I'm not going to share it because obviously they are moving on with their lives from a horrific tragedy, and it's just not fair, I guess, to put their, I mean, I'm telling their story, but not to put their current personal business in a YouTube video. What I will say is they're still in Argentina. They seem really happy, like they've got good jobs. It seems like maybe they have a dog or something. It's not completely clear if they have kids or not, but they seem happy. And I mean, I don't know what to say to that. I don't. But here is what my theory is. Oh, by the way, what I believe is that Marco is still in prison. I was unable to get any updates about Marco's situation. Now, here's my thoughts. It's strange that you, as a person, I'm just talking in general, would marry somebody who was convicted of your twin sister's murder. Absolutely. Like, absolutely. But the only thing that I'm thinking is Edith must have really believed that Victor had absolutely nothing to do with Johana's murder, because they don't talk about the twins having a bad relationship or a nasty relationship. So why would you want to marry someone that you think even for a little bit could have murdered your sister? I don't know. Like, I don't know, you know. I've seen a lot of people suspect that maybe Johana was in on it and all those sorts of things. I just don't believe that. There is nothing pointing to the twins having a negative relationship. However, we weren't a part of that family, so we don't know the ins and outs and everything that went on. And so I honestly believe that she believes that he didn't do it. For me, it's kind of like, well, it seems as if there wasn't evidence to suggest that he did do it, you know. That's like why he won his appeal and etc, etc. However, it's kind of like, then, but why was he a suspect in the first place, right? Why was there enough evidence or anything substantial enough for them to feel as if they could charge him? But then why was it not enough to then let him win his appeal? Like, do you know what I mean? Something about the situation just isn't right. So whether maybe he was involved instead of just being like the murderer itself, like I don't know the situation, but I think that's enough speculating so far. Let me know what you think about the whole situation. It's a little bit crazy, it's a little bit strange. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like and you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Twin Tuesday.